This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, back with a daily wrestling news update. I already did a review of The Rock's daughter's Ava Reigns, which again, I think it's silly to give her a different name that's hard to remember. But I did a review of her NXT debut last night, and the NXT rating was a 0.15. They also had Tales from the Territories on Vice TV, Florida Championship Wrestling last night, featuring Kevin Sullivan. Did a 0.02 rating, which is better than the 0.01 that Impact usually does, but Impact didn't even get a rating last week. It did less than a 0.01. In AEW news, they have apparently signed Matt Tavern, Mike Bennett, and Maria Kanellis Benes. Now, I can tell you there's interviews with all three of these on the Hannibal TV, and the Matt Tavern and Mike Bennett ones got almost no views. So, again, AEW, I mean, I might not, I wouldn't call myself biased because I do want Jeremy Prophet to get a chance at wrestling just because I think he deserves it. But I don't really care. There's no stake in it for me. But it bothers me when like Matt Tavern and Mike Bennett, like these people have been around for years and never really been over and had many chances. They get signed, and then when Prophet does his AEW bookings the other week, they make him Nyla Rose's security guard. At some point, like sign some new faces, because I can guarantee you, I'm sorry, nothing against these guys. They seem nice enough. Maria still looks good, but Matt Tavern and Mike Bennett are not stars. Apparently, Lana has complained a little bit about her husband in AEW. Apparently, she said that he's not enjoying it because he would only be enjoying it if he was champion, basically. So she's going to leave it at that. And she also went on to say that, and I'll quote this: Tony Khan has a vision. At the end of the day, if it's 100% real, I think there's an illusion that at AEW their talent booked the show. That was definitely the conversation. Oh, you go there, you're going to basically become whatever you're made of. But at the end of the day, he's booking the show. It's really no different than WWE. It's just a different director and different person's point of view. And you know what? I will agree with her on that. I don't think her husband, I think her husband was overrated, but he definitely reached his peak. But once they did that thing with Lashley and her standing over the husband, making out, I mean, how could any man respect him or take him seriously after he allows his wife to do that? But I will agree with her that everyone at first was saying, oh, AEW, that's where the real wrestling, they're going to bring it back to classic wrestling. Finally, wrestling's going to be wrestling again. But no, it's Tony Khan booking everything. So it's just a different perspective. And I would say that with the exception of some of the stuff like that John Cena versus Bray Wyatt ridiculous teleportation match that they had, that AEW is less wrestling overall than WWE because it's very spottish. There's a lot of really goofy stuff in it that doesn't look real at all and is just only the nerdiest of marks would find it entertaining, some of the stuff they do there. Your average person would just look at this and say, this is stupid. How can anyone watch this? I'm not saying it's all like that, but they have a lot of that. And overall, it's a smart mark federation. There are some good things that happen in there and some great wrestlers like the Chris Jerichos and the John Moxleys and the Matt and Jeff Hardys, but there's a lot of silly stuff too. And I would agree with Lana there that it's just a different person's point of view. And if you're a star like Moxley or Jericho, you do have pull in what you can do. Miro was never on their level, so he's not going to have as much pull as them. But Cody had a lot of pull, but clearly not enough for his liking because he even left. But Chris Jericho and John Moxley probably aren't being bossed around by Tony Khan too much. They probably have a lot more say. And they're also making $3 million a year. Tommaso Ciampa has undergone surgery to repair a hip labrum. He's 37 years old. Billy Corgan said he's open to NWA being used as WWE or AEW development. Why wouldn't he be? From what I understand, I mean, they get almost no YouTube views. They don't have a TV show. I guess their only revenue source really would be like if people pay to watch the TV show being taped. But from what I understand, I don't even know if they have to pay for tickets or not. But there's only like 100 seats or so, more or less, maybe less, in that studio. And I know sometimes they've only had like 15 to 20 people in there. I know they have had some pay-per-views, like the St. Louis one, when they went to the Chase for the first time in a long time, had like 600 to 800. And that was, I think, their best crowd. They may have done one at the Nashville Fairgrounds that had around 600 as well. But like he's paying some people contracts, like Nick Aldis, for example. Like he's just a millionaire that can afford it. So of course, if WWE would make them development and gave him money, he'd be open to that. Because if you look at it, if their revenue source is pay-per-views, Impact Bound for Glory just had like 1,500 pay-per-view buys. And they bought advertising on like Raw, from what I understand. So NWA is not as popular as Impact. So their pay-per-view buys, I haven't seen what they are, but they can't be great. Let's look at what their YouTube is at. I hate to digress, but we're going on the fly here. And by the way, regarding the Von Erich documentary, or it's a Von Erich Hollywood movie being recorded right now in Louisiana. And Zac Efron, as you probably saw in the cover of this, has really been bulking up letely. So let me look at this. All right, I hate to do this, but let's look at the 12 months time period between NWA and the Hannibal TV. And as I said, we're doing this on the fly. This isn't choreographed like WWE. And for people that think I make these graphs, I don't have a program that tells me analytics. And I'm just doing this out of pure curiosity. I'm not doing this to insult NWA, but the fact of the matter is they can't be making much off of YouTube. And they can't be making, judging by their YouTube popularity, they can't be making much off pay-per-view. So let's take a look here. In the past year, this is NWA compared to me, compared to the Hannibal TV. So the Hannibal TV is in the pink, and NWA is in the blue. So yeah, I'm 32 million to 8 million. So I got a lot more than NWA. So as I said, of course he would want to be a developmental. But yeah, I was just looking at that to know. I'm not insulting him. I've posted an interview with him on this channel. I did think that Corgan. I don't know who the champion is now. I thought Aldis held the title for way too long. And like he's pretty much vanished off everyone's radar now. I can't even remember like if he's such a great champion. Where is he now? Like the last match I can remember of relevance of that Aldis had was his big match with Cody Rhodes, where I think they exchanged the title or something at the very first pay-per-view that Cody Rhodes did before AEW existed. And then I remember the one where Trevor Murdoch beat him for the title. And I do like Trevor Murdoch as a person, but he was a bad choice to be champion because he was even less popular than Nick Aldis. If you want your brand to get popular, like as I said, Braun Strowman was a free agent at that point. Billy Corgan's a multimillionaire. Bring him in for some shots. Just put the title on him. Boost, even though he's not the greatest, like he's better known than Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch. He would have boosted the product. But no, Murdoch had it. Then I don't even know who's had it since or who is the champion now. It's kind of like completely faded off the radar, the NWA. No gimmicks guy. Although I do think Davey Boy Smith Jr. wrestles for NWA or did wrestle for NWA and at one point held their tag team titles. I don't know if he still does or not. Yes, Ted Hart. Speaking of Davey Boy Smith Jr., his cousin Ted Hart returns to the Hannibal TV this Sunday at 8 p.m. on the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on at the same time as Tom. I'm going to shut up soon. Crying. AEW should be hiring more Kurt Angles and Goldbergs and less Mike Bennett's and Matt Taverns. I'm sorry to those guys. I'm sure they're nice guys, but they hire these nobodies. Why do you need, just please explain to me, why do you need these hours and hours of AEW Dark and AEW Elevation with all these wrestlers that are, for the most part, boring? Why put all these guys under contract? Why not save your money and just have like better overall wrestlers as far as names and quality of wrestlers? But I don't know. As far as I know, AEW still is in the red. But I'm not hating on it. I'm confused. Why hire people that don't have a buzz to them? I don't get it, because they already have enough no names. John says there's Matt wrestling with Danielson, which is decent. Brian Danielson, he's in there too. I'm not saying he's one of the he's a good wrestler overall. I'm not a fan of the leg slapping, but he's a good wrestler overall, but he's a small little guy. And he had, during that whole Yes thing, he had a buzz to him, but that buzz is long gone. Like, I don't think there's any more buzz about Brian Danielson. Terry checking in from Maine. Driven through there a lot. Crying stopped watching AEW. John, that's Kevin Von Erich that Zac Efron's playing, but there's going to be a lot of Hollywood stars in it. Holly says if he or she wants to see all the acrobatics that AEW has, they would go to the circus. Tony Khan will not forget the internet snark. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, No Gimmicks Guy. But yes, No Gimmicks Guy is interviewing Ted Hart on Sunday. I am going to do one more update. I'm literally halfway through this Shawn Michaels interview with Logan Paul, and I'm going to do one more update where I'm going to review this Shawn Michaels and Logan Paul interview on the Impulsive podcast this week. I'm over halfway through now, and it's pretty interesting so far. But I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'll save that for when I'm talking about it, and I'll shut up for now because I'm going in competition to something on my own channel right now. So tune into the Tom Pritchard podcast going on right now.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click